Please be aware, in this podcast series we talk about all areas of safeguarding, which some people may find upsetting. So please make sure you're okay listening to today's topic. Be mindful of those around you, such as children, that you might not want to listen in. Hi, I'm SSS Safeguarding Director Sam Preston.
And I'm former head teacher and content author Sarah Spinks.
Welcome back to Safeguarding Conversations. Today we're unpacking Lord Anderson Casey's 2025 review, Lessons for Prevent. It's a hard-hitting report that followed two tragic attacks where Prevent failed to act, despite schools doing exactly what was expected of them.
Yeah, and I think that's the striking part, in both the Alice case in 2021 and the Southport attack in 2024, education professionals made referrals. They spotted the risks, but Prevent didn't intervene effectively, and the consequences were devastating.
And that's what makes this review so important for DSLs and school staff. It's not about whether we're doing our job. Often we are. The challenge is what happens after the referral.
Yeah, and Prevent has always been controversial, as we know.
Yeah.
Some people see it as too weak, others say it's too authoritarian, and there are also critics about bias, being too lenient in some cases or disproportionately focused on Muslims in others.
And the review doesn't shy away from those tensions. But the clear message is that even when schools act appropriately, Prevent can still fall down. You can fall short. And that's a serious safeguarding concern.
Yeah, and I think let's go through some of the 10 recommendations, that matter most for schools.
Yeah. So first, a review of the complaint system. So right now, if Prevent doesn't act on a referral, schools don't have a clear path to challenge that. And DSLs need a reliable complaint route.
And another big one, Prevent should remain open to non-ideological violence. So, if a pupil is obsessed with violent fantasies, for example, even without politics or religion, staff should still refer.
Yeah, and I think that's a really crucial one, Sarah, because I think as you kind of covered earlier, a lot of the tensions and focus has been on, that's also kind of helped to kind of shape what the purpose of Prevent people is. And yet,
absolutely.
It always has been, always has included misogyny, for example, and things like that. So I think that really is, as you described it, it's a big one. It's a really important one. And there's the call, isn't there, to integrate Prevent more closely with wider safeguarding, early help, youth justice, social care. And that could make the system more joined up and supportive for schools.
Absolutely. And online activity is another focus. Many risks now begin online, and the review says Prevent must find rights compliance ways to use that digital evidence. For schools, that means referrals linked to online behaviour, remains crucial.
And don't forget transparency, publishing more data and outcomes will help DSLs understand Prevent's impact. And in a certain way, it will rebuild trust. Because I think that's something that, there is a certain amount of mistrust of we make the referral, but what do we do if it's not accepted?
Absolutely.
And, even when there are very, very genuine concerns.
Absolutely. And the review, it's not all criticism. It highlights progress, like the new Prevent assessment framework, better case management tools, and a clinical consultancy service to support complex cases.
And government has said it will appoint a permanent Prevent commissioner, which, that could provide stronger independent oversight. But reforms, they're still in motion, and the Southport inquiry may add more recommendations.
So I think what's the takeaway for DSLs and staff today?
Well, for me, I would say, keep making those referrals. If you see risks linked to violence, ideology, or worrying online behaviour, act.
Yeah, and I think stay informed about new guidance and your local channel panel processes. Ask for feedback if you don't hear what happens after a referral.
And take part in the conversation. Safeguarding professionals have a voice in shaping how Prevent evolves. And that voice matters, Sarah.
I think the review ends with a powerful reminder. Prevent must improve, but professionals on the front line deserve support and recognition.
Absolutely. And we've talked about this, and I've said this in previous podcasts. I think there will always be this tension because when there is no accountable responsibility to refer to another agency from the agencies that's not accepting the referral. So what I mean by that is if there's a referral made to Prevent and it doesn't fit their threshold, at the moment, the onus is on whoever made the initial referral to try and figure out where that goes. And that in itself can open up opportunities for things to be lost because that, it may not be being managed by the same person. There may not be the historical knowledge to support where that referral goes next. And I honestly do believe that unless we've got an accountability where if you're not accepting the referral, you have the duty to refer it to the most appropriate place. I don't think that's unreasonable.
No, I completely agree. Yeah.
And that's something that is not even being discussed.
Yeah.
So I think particularly with Prevent, I think that would make a really significant difference.
Yeah.
But, schools can't fix Prevent, the whole system on their own. But by staying vigilant, persistent and informed, that's how we keep our pupils safer. And that's what safeguarding is all about. So thanks for listening to Safeguarding Conversations. You can find details of training and articles on the topic of Prevent on our website, together with our Safeguarding Conversation podcast back catalogue. Thanks for listening.